afternoon, everybody, and welcome to TED Talks Ball. Very excited to have Grant Cohn on the show today. For those of you who don't know who Grant is, figure it out. No, just kidding. He's at Grant Cohn on Twitter. He's also the publisher of All 49ers FN, also all49ers.com. And then also a beat writer for the 49ers and a hell of a journalist. So the one who asks all the tough questions. If you're ever watching a presser and you see Kyle kind of cringe and because someone's asked him a really tough question, this is the guy. This is the guy who keeps us honest and asks the questions that most of us really want to know instead of throwing up the softballs that maybe some of the other people might do on there. So Grant, welcome to the show, and feel free to fill anything in that I might have missed there.
That was the greatest intro ever. Thank you very much. Let's talk because there's some big news that just happened.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's some, Ridgeway's out 6 to 8 weeks with the pack.
That's it. That's the news. Yeah? That's the news right there. Yeah, yeah.
No, I've been saying Jimmy G done for the season has been my banner I've been flying. I just added a little question mark to it here because obviously some interesting update that, it's not Liz Frank, no surgery required, approximate timetable 7 to 8 weeks, which would put us like divisional round, NFC Championship, somewhere in there as a best case scenario. So lay it on me. What are you thinking about that, Grant?
Well, I mean, it explains why they didn't do something drastic, right? They didn't beg Drew Brees to come out of retirement or anything like that. They signed Josh Johnson, and now they sort of hinted at the fact that it might have been better than they initially thought, and now they say it. So it's like it gives them options because this is a team that's gone through 2 quarterbacks already. There's no guarantee that Brock Purdy will make it through the season. So this is great. There's no guarantee that Brock Purdy will play well. They could win a bunch of games in spite of him, and they could be dying for Jimmy Garoppolo to come back. On the other hand, Brock Purdy played well in this last game, and there's things right now that he does that Jimmy can't do. Like he can avoid sacks that Jimmy can't avoid, and he can throw on the run. I think he kind of gives a shot of energy to the team. Of course, you don't know. He might be way worse than Jimmy. We don't know. But if he plays well and wins a playoff game, they're really just going to pull the plug on him to go back to Jimmy Garoppolo off a 2-month layoff coming off an injury. It's intriguing, but I don't think it's just a slam dunk that he's back, that he'll play another game with this. What do you think, Ted?
Well, I think it's interesting. I think a lot depends on how Brock Purdy does. Can Brock Purdy stay healthy? I'd rather see Jimmy than Josh Johnson, obviously. Interesting that also news that just dropped, I think, right as we were coming on here, that the Rams claimed Baker Mayfield, who a lot of people thought the Niners might be interested in as a backup. So that's off the table. I think it's exactly what you said. Brock adds a little bit of energy. He's definitely more mobile. He's more accurate. I mean, he doesn't throw the ball as high. He throws into tighter windows. I just uploaded a short of my live game cast, and it's like, hey, great, touchdown to Juice in the flat. I started to feel better clapping, and then I said, oh, kind of interesting. We don't have trouble scoring the red zone anymore, and
right.
So
right. There was a clear contrast right there. Sorry.
Yeah. No, anytime. So that right as it happened, I was like, wow, that's, because I was worried about Brock, but, even when I was still worried, I was kind of saying, well, he is more mobile and he has shown some flashes and, maybe he will do okay. And so I was really pleased with his performance and, I definitely want to have as many healthy bodies as possible with the way our O-line gives up pressures, especially our blessed right tackle, Mike McGlinchey. But
can I ask you a question, though? My second takeaway from this is, okay, so they're going to rush Jimmy Garoppolo back, but not Trey Lance. I know Trey Lance's injury was different, and he had surgery, but that was week 2, and I've seen him since then. We've seen him since then. He's been working out. He's been running, jogging, throwing. So you can't bring him back. You got to... But Jimmy can come back as soon as possible. Why? It does seem like if Nick Bosa broke his foot, the Niners would be bending over backwards to bring him back as soon as possible, whether that's the NFC Championship game or whatever. But it kind of feels like the Niners like, you know what? Let's just shut it down with Trey, and start the project again next year. Is that kind of the feeling you're getting?
Absolutely. Well, until Monday, until Kyle said, well, if he's healthy, hell yeah, then, or heck yeah, or whatever the exact verbiage was.
He's been so inconsistent, Kyle.
Yeah. I mean, that was my whole thing when the whole injury thing came out. I just found a tweet recently where I was saying I thought he would be back at some point towards the end of the season or playoffs, right when it happened. And, I was saying I didn't trust him when they said he wouldn't be back. I think they just said it because they didn't want to talk about it every week. And they said it because they didn't want to be pressuring Trey Lance in case he didn't want to come back.
But now they just said it for Jimmy. But now
they
just said it for Jimmy. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
so now that's hanging over Brock.
I think there's the difference in starts. Jimmy's got over 50 starts, and Trey has 3 or 4. So I think that's part of it. Right.
Are you going to give Trey his 5th start in the playoffs? That's his 5th start. Yeah, it's tough.
That is tough. But, we
that
may
being
not
said,
have a choice.
Brock could be making his 5th start in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Or Brock could be injured by then, too, with the way
he could be on Josh Johnson. Yeah.
The way our O-line plays, yeah.
Not just the O-line, Ted, but also the way that Kyle Shanahan and Bobby Slowick seem to have a tough time beating blitzes with like scheme. I got to say that all Brock Purdy did to beat the blitz was dodge a couple guys and then hit Kittle while taking a shot. Really, I don't think Kyle made any effective adjustments getting hot routes open. It seemed like his hot routes were covered and his quarterbacks were getting blasted by free rushers. So if Kyle can't fix that, then Purdy's getting hurt. And I don't say that with glee or anything.
No,
but that's going to happen.
Being realistic.
Yeah,
just being realistic.
How many dudes can he dodge? He dodged at least 3 in this game.
No doubt. And there was definitely a naked bootleg that very much reminded me of the Charger game where Jimmy, faked the handoff and Khalil Mack didn't buy it at all. It was a 10-yard loss. However, Brock managed to evade the rush, roll out, and throw that nice little sidearm. I think it's in my banner on my Twitter page right now.
That's the difference between him and Jimmy. And frankly, why I feel like the Niners shouldn't be dying to go back to Jimmy. Give Brock a chance.
Yeah, let's see how he does. I'm open to it.
Would you say
sure.
More accurate, more athletic? I mean, let's give him a chance here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And unlike Trey,
maybe not quite as big of an arm.
Maybe not.
Brock maybe. I mean, not that Jimmy has a big arm, but I think he's a little bit better at those kind of maybe deeper intermediate throws. Maybe. I don't know.
The thing that's so complicated about Trey is that he didn't even play in college. So although he is a great athlete and a great prospect, it just might take a while. The thing with Brock is in this team, in this situation right now on December 6th, he's a rookie who played 4 years in college. Just his experience is so important right now. It seems like the Niners are just dying for a Trent Dilfer-esque quarterback to be a vet and just, you know what I mean? And maybe he can do that. Of course, Trey one day could be so much more, but maybe he's not ready to be Trent Dilfer right now, coming off a long layoff. I don't know. Maybe that's what the Niners are thinking. Anyway, Purdy has a chance.
No doubt about it. Yeah, Trent Dilfer. There's some others you could throw into that list. Brad Johnson from the Bucks. And I would also throw in maybe even Nick Foles had a kind of a super team all around him. A lot of weapons, a great. Well, our offensive line isn't that great, but I
like the Brad Johnson one because it's a connection to John Lynch.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah. So got some. I want to call out some audience members here real quick. Brant Culp in the audience. He's an all-star. Ryan from No Border Sports. He came on and saved my live show. I was kind of going on by myself, and he and Izzy, Melissa came on my show and helped me out. That was great.
Nice.
And then we've got Giants Niner fan. Let's get the show monetized. Yes, let's definitely do that.
Absolutely.
Although that's not my main goal, really. I mean, my main goal with all this stuff is just to kind of like learn and to help teach, have some fun, and not spread any bad information. If I end up getting monetized in the process, that's a nice side effect, but definitely not the end goal.
That's nice. I like that.
And then, Brian called Giants. Oh, it's just saying hi to Giants.
I just subscribed. 121. Let's go.
Sweet. All right.
Let's
love
go.
It.
Yeah.
That's big. That's big. So where are we? All right. Jimmy's not done. We're now calling him Mr. Relevant, right? Brock Purdy. He had the TD throw to Juice. He had the TD throw to CMC. obviously, I'd like to see him throw some TDs to Ayuk, who's been doing well, getting TDs lately. Maybe one to Kittle, something like that instead of the backs. But hey, I'll take what I can get after Jimmy G and his let's say struggles in the red zone and scoring touchdowns. So and then Trey Lance, is he going to come back? What do we think there? I mean, we're starting to run out of IR spots, right? I mean, we have 2 left, and we have Kinlaw out on IR. We have Mitchell out on IR. Do we think they're going to put Jimmy on IR, and then Ridgway's out 6 to 8 weeks? So that might be 4 guys. Or are we just going to start losing roster spots to keep these guys able to come back for the playoffs? That's the only other option, right?
Hey, you tell me if you read it a different way, but the way I read it is that the last thing the 49ers want to do is activate Trey Lance. I'm not saying they can't activate him, but doesn't it seem like that's the last thing they want to do? Like, they'll leave the door open to crack just because you never know what they have to do down the line. But, I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo news comes out that he could come back. The Niners won't say anything firm like that about Trey Lance. So I think while we want him to come back, I think it's fair to assume they don't want him to come back this year. And we could speculate about what reasons they have to feel that way, but that's the way I think they feel.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not sure how much is just like the song and dance and what's really real. I definitely think Trey Lance is the type of guy who. Well, here's the sort of the math on it, right? Let's do that. Dr. Pandya has tweeted out repeatedly on this that the mean or the average, the kind of the mid return point for most people with this injury in the NFL is 144 days, where you've got both ligaments torn on both sides and the fibula broken. So that's February 9th, or basically the Super Bowl. But that's the average or the mean. That's not like accounting for like, hey, Trey Lance is 22. A lot of these guys are a lot older when they have this, and assumably older guys heal much more slowly than a 22-year-old. That's probably your almost your optimal healing age. And then the other thing I don't think that it takes into account is Trey Lance's work ethic. I think the guy's a hell of a worker. We saw it when he was working out with Ayuk every offseason. There was never any downtime for him. He was always on it, and he just has that kind of attitude where I don't think he's the type of person who would shy away from it, even if it is a chance for him to maybe hurt his reputation by losing a playoff game.
Did you see that clip that I posted earlier today from September? It was right after Trey Lance got injured and Kyle Shanahan was doing an interview, getting interviewed by Greg Papa, the team's play-by-play announcer. And Papa was asking about, like, what's next for Trey Lance. And Kyle was like, there's no change. He'll be in the meetings. The only difference is he won't be on the field. But he said, come December, we might be able to get creative. And then he changed the subject. So my question for Kyle is like, hey, man, in September you said you might get creative with Trey Lance in December. What did you mean by creative? Like, what was that about? Creative ways to have him practice? Creative ways to have him play? Like, could you please... And did something change? Did he have a setback? Or are you no longer trying to get creative with him? What was that about? That's my question. That was vague.
Well, it seems like everything we've heard is that he's ahead of schedule. So, I mean, I don't understand. Like I said, I think it's just this whole thing of I don't want to talk about it every week until it's a real thing, until we know he can actually play. And I don't want to be accused of pushing him back, just like how kind of Raheem Mostert intimated that we maybe tried to force him back from injury before he was ready. And, obviously there's that holding over his head from RG3 in Washington that he and his dad let him play too soon. And so he doesn't want an RG3 part 2, I don't think.
I just looked at who Trey Lance's agent is, and it's Tom Comden with CAA. I'm wondering, like, why is his agent not working the media the way that Jimmy's agent seems to do? I mean, Jimmy's agent is always out in front of everything. He's got so many guys singing his praises. It feels like no one knows Trey, and his agent is really famous, but it's like, doesn't Tom Condon represent like 1 million people? He needs someone dedicated to him who can talk to people in the media and get his narrative out there, because it just feels like he's fading away. Like, Lance, do you want to come back and play football this year? We don't know. I assume he does, but his agent could like tell people, "Hey, man, Lance is looking great. I don't care what the, whispering it off the record. I don't care what the Niners say, but Lance is looking great. You should ask Kyle this or that." Nothing. So I just feel, I don't know for a fact, I just feel like Jimmy Garoppolo's agent does a great job of that. I mean, where did this report just come out that Jimmy's coming back in 7 to 8 weeks? From the 49ers or Jimmy? I don't know, but I wonder. You know what I mean? Where's this pressure coming from? Where did that report come from a couple of days ago with Ian Rappaport saying that he was about to cash in and come back to the Niners? Huh? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Trey Lance, him and his team do a terrible job of putting his narrative out there. So we got to do it. And then the Niners don't even do it.
Yeah, well, I'm ready. So let's do it. I think you had a great idea. I think you had a great idea with post some workout videos. Let's see him working out. I mean,
force the issue.
If Colin Kaepernick can do it, then why can't Trey Lance, right?
It's innocuous. The team can't take it as anything other than you being proud of the steps you're taking. And his brother posted a couple, so it would be a nice time to do it.
Nice.
Trey, come on.
No doubt about it. Platform 246 joined us. He said, "What's the price for a collab, Ted?" I don't charge. Lots was given to me as I started this endeavor, so I'm like happy to give back too. Let's DM me. Let's figure something out. I want to give back what I've gotten. That's something I want to talk with Grant about at some point here too. Is just like, and maybe this is the time before we start going into a lot of the similar stuff that has been talked about all this week. But let's go through these comments here real quick. He was saying,
real quick, hold on. On the last one, what I want to say is what's so cool about this Niners content creator community is it's freaking huge. And there's a lot of, you can make a living just talking about the 49ers and focusing all your, the audience is big enough. And what's great is this collaboration, cross-pollination. Ted should be looking for other content creators on the way up who want to, because it's always interesting to watch a show with two people having a conversation, and you can always keep it fresh with new people. So collaboration and cross-pollination is the way to go. I love it.
No doubt about it. It's amazing how like boring I am with all the same topics with all the same people every week, and it's like the conversations always go different directions, so it doesn't even seem like I'm that boring because I have interesting people. And I've
but like if you have shows every day, you end up talking about a lot of the same topics. So what makes it fresh and different is the dynamic of the conversation. Absolutely, yeah.
And having dynamic people. I mean, Grant's up there,
and finding who you have chemistry with, all that stuff. Yeah,
that's huge. So I mean, I'm all about like I said, giving back what I've been given and collaborating, and what I've done some of is I noticed some good people that I talk to in Spaces on Twitter, and I've done at least 3 or 4 shows with people from Spaces who had never done shows before. Kind of like how some people did that with me. I think Dion Johnson was the first person to have me on his show. Jack Hammer was another early person. Gina G. And it's like, these people all gave me a chance, and it seems to be working out. Knock on wood, but whatever I can do to help give back, to pay it back to people and pay it forward, whatever you want to call it, I'm down for that.
When I was getting started, right when the pandemic just started, and I was really going full bore into YouTube, I pretty much said yes to any request that anyone ever said. I was at home all the time, and I didn't have that much to do. Now my plate is full, and it's tough for me to do new shows and do regular, say yes all the time. But what I can do for people that want to collaborate with me that I don't know, I do a show pretty regularly, once a week, maybe every other week, called the Cohn Phone, which you can think of kind of like as open mic for a comedian or not comedians, but for analysts. It's an open mic. So you want to call in, and we could have a little 5-minute conversation and see where the relationship goes from there. So just saying, call in. It works.
There you go.
Jesse Naylor was a caller.
No way. And what a legend he is now.
Absolutely.
What a guy. That's awesome.
Yep.
Grant Cohn, we need to fly planes over the stadium. It wasn't too long ago they actually did fly some planes
that works.
over. They had some F-15s fly over, and they hit their afterburners not long after they went over, and I'd never seen that before. So I've seen afterburners, just never with the national anthem. I thought that was pretty cool.
At the Dolphins game, they came like 30 seconds late, and there was like, oh yeah, you're supposed to be at the Land of the brave. It's okay.
I was there the week before for the Saints game, and there was a couple of helicopters and a C-130. So it was a prop transport plane and a couple helicopters. But my son loves helicopters, so that was probably better than a jet for him.
Nice. I was a train guy when I was a kid. Loved Thomas the Tank Engine. Brio. Loved train. Kids love trains? What is that?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I love trains.
We go to the train station all the time. He loves the Caltrain.
My nephew freaking loved trains when he was 2.
He builds them out of the magnetiles. Oh yeah, no, it's amazing.
I don't know what it is.
No doubt about it.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you get to be 16 and get to drive a car, and you're like, oh, I don't have to be stuck on these tracks anymore.
Hey, there it is. Yeah,
I'm free and easy now, right?
Yep.
No doubt about it. So, so where are we? So what advice would you give to people that are like trying to start their channel? And, you were really helpful with me, and thank you for that. But like, and what advice would you have for me too? I'm open to, I always want to hear what people's feedback is. What am I doing wrong? What can I do better? How did you get your break? I mean, we kind of know how you started reporting, but like, how did you get your break in YouTube? Like, how did you know when you had really like had your, I don't know, pivotal moment?
I don't know. I mean, maybe it was right place, right time. I started doing this before other people during the pandemic, and it caught on. But I think what's important is like, you got to find I just felt like I found my voice, and I could express my voice better on YouTube than I could in print. And so people liked it. But basically what you got to do is, it doesn't matter if you got a big audience or a little audience. If you have any audience at all, that's a blessing. And take those people, don't take them for granted. Get to know them. Like, they're writing in. You should look at your shows as an interaction with the people in the comment section. Because if they have a good experience, they'll tell people, and you will grow slowly but organically, and it'll work. So don't take your audience for granted. If they say things they don't like about your show, don't take it personally, because these are strangers that are actually trying to help you in however they're expressing themselves. So take suggestions. Think of it as the universe trying to point you in the right direction, and get as many people involved as possible. Collaborate with people, because that just exposes you to different audiences. And don't worry about small gains at first. You gotta get up on people's radar, and you gotta experiment and find your voice, your persona on camera. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt about it.
You can't just come on here and be boring, which Ted is not. You got to find a way to play to your audience and keep them engaged. And everyone's different. But if you have an audience, then they like you, and just interact with them. That would be my number one thing. A lot of people do podcasts. Podcasts are not interactive. A lot of people will do these shows but won't really talk to the people in the comments, and they'll wonder why no one watches. Just saying. Something to think about.
Yeah. No doubt about it. And then it's kind of fun how sometimes you pull people up out of the comments and bring them live onto the show. That's really exciting. You're kind of your golden ticket for folks. And I mean, I appreciate that. It's good advice for everybody to know. And there are some people that are negative about it, but I just figure they're kind of sour grapes people who are just, unhappy and unhappy for other people that are doing well or doing what they want to do. And, there's not much you can do about folks like that, except for try to ignore them and move on, and like living well is the best revenge, like they say, right? I mean, so just
pretty much
enjoy yourself and try not to let them get you down.
Yeah.
Well, should we talk a little bit about the game, the Dolphins game? There's obviously a lot to like with what we saw there. I mean, give me your impressions of the game, Grant.
Okay. Defense was flat out phenomenal. Their combination of their pass rush and their underneath zone coverage, it's just elite. I mean, that's almost underselling it, right? I mean, Tua was like, he took one look at that in the first quarter and was like, I can't do this. He's like, I'm not good enough. He was like, he got to the top of a mountain on a black diamond. He was like, I'm not skilled enough. Like this, he looked freaked out. He looked small. He looked like he made Brock Purdy look big and strong-armed, in my opinion. So the defense is legit. What happened against Kansas City was partially the fact that guys were hurt, partially the fact that it was their first game off that long East Coast trip, so they were jet-lagged. and partially the fact that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback I've ever seen in person. And they do have a good offensive line over there, too, and Kelsey's great. So if they ever face Kansas City again, I wonder about the defense. But saving that, I think there's very, very, very few offenses that can put up 20 points on this defense if they're fully rested, which they're going to be fully rested the rest of the way. So that was my number one takeaway, just how impressive that defense is. But then the offense, we're all talking about Brock Purdy this week because it's a great story. But I want to talk about Kyle. Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt, partially because Jimmy Garoppolo didn't go down, and he tried to be a hero, which, is commendable. He's a competitor, whatever. But it's also because Kyle had no answers for these freaking zero blitzes, and the Dolphins knew it. And Kyle, in my opinion, never really adjusted in this game. He tries to point to that play to George Kittle where Purdy took the shot, a tough shot, and hit the throw. You can't do that. That's not a solution. There needs to be quick, hot route, quick throws that prevent him from getting hit from these blitzes, or else they're going to keep happening. And it's not Purdy's fault. It's not Jimmy's fault. There has to be schematic answers. And at least Miami was finding ways to get free rushers and cover the hot routes. Kyle, you got to fix that. So if he doesn't, Purdy's going to get hurt, and they're going to be down to Josh Johnson. So no one's talking about that because it's like, hey, Brock Purdy week. Like, yeah, man, he was great. He avoided those blitzers, and he avoided some sacks and made some plays, but that's not, no one can do that consistently, really. I mean, not even Kyler Murray. So I'm looking at you, Kyle. What you got? Talk to your dad, talk to your crew, and find some solutions because it's on film now. And now Todd Bowles is going to be looking at your offense with your rookie quarterback being like, oh, I'm going to blitz this kid. Oh, my God. I mean, you know what's going to happen. So it's on you, Kyle. You better have some answers.
Yeah, he better. Hopefully, hopefully the week of practicing with the first team will pay off a little synchronicity with Ayuk.
It will, but hold on. Like, as a coach, like, you're trying to say, okay, so they're going to attack us with blitzes. So what do we got to do? Okay, I got to show Brock Purdy the looks that he could see. Man, there's not enough practice time in the week to show him all the freaking blitzes that the Bucs have put on tape. So,
well, then you got to do blitz beaters, right? You got to do the pitches, or the tosses, the screens,
and play great defense.
Play great defense, no doubt about it. Now let's back up. The Jimmy, fighting for extra yards. God knows why he had two big men draped on him, but the very bad decision. But was, in your opinion, the knee to the foot dirty? Like, do you think he meant to put the knee to the foot? And let's say that it was dirty. Well,
I can't say that he meant to do that. When I watched the replay, it looked like both guys were trying to drop their weight on him. And, things happen on a football field. I never really see football players trying to get out of the way. I mean, trying to take you down, man. I mean, yeah. I don't know if he meant to do it, like, oh, let me get on his foot real quick and crack that. I just feel like he wasn't being that careful. Teams, what are you supposed to do?
And if it was like Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes that it happened to, would they have called a penalty? Because Jimmy barely ever. He did get a roughing in that game, but
I don't know, man.
He almost never does. Or was it the Saints game? Yeah.
I don't know. But I do know that Patrick Mahomes is a whole lot quicker than Jimmy Garoppolo, and Tom Brady would have went down. So,
right.
I don't know. So the thing with Jimmy is, like, and he gets in these situations where he writes checks he can't cash. Like, where are you going, man? You know who you are. Where you going? You're not Brock Purdy. You're not Trey Lance. You're, Jimmy Garoppolo. You're Tom Brady Jr., and you sat and watched him for 4 years. He never tried to do stuff like that. He never ran 8 yards up the field and then cut back into the field and tore his ACL like you did. Drew Bledsoe did that. He didn't tear his ACL, but he got lit up, and that's how Tom Brady's career started. You would think you would learn from that, but no, 4 years later is like the same mistake, and you chalk it up to being a competitor. Okay? But now the team needed you, right? You protect the team by protecting yourself. Tom Brady gets that. Mahomes gets that. Most of the best quarterbacks aren't getting hurt every 8th, 9th start the way Jimmy is. He hasn't figured it out yet. I don't think he ever will.
I don't think he will either. I think he's got that linebacker mentality, and, it just doesn't translate to the NFL with NFL defenders. You look at his history. He got injured with the Patriots. He got injured. He made it 5 games with us in 2017. 3 games into 2018, he does the ACL. 10 games missed in 2020. He did have 2019. 2019, he was healthy the whole season.
So, like, his longest stretch
games.
between injuries is like what, 20 games?
Yeah, 20 games roughly.
Something? 20, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't think he's
20,
ever on 30.
2022 because there's the second game against the Jets in 2020. Yeah. So, yeah, no, it's crazy.
I'm sorry. So if that's who you are, then to me, you're not a starting quarterback. You're a backup who looks really good when pressed into action. And people are like, oh, man, is this our guy? No.
No.
No. And the problem is the Niners gave him the contract. The Patriots, they knew.
Yeah. When I was getting ready for the show, I was thinking, would it be kind of fun if I, like, flip-flop back to being a Jimmy stan and, like, attacked Grant? Would that have been funny? I don't know.
How are you feeling about Jimmy now? How are you feeling about Jimmy now?
Same way as since week 3, against Green Bay. I just feel like, people say, oh, he's so good at those intermediate throws, and Lance likes to throw deep, and they're kind of trying to equate the two. And I'm like, it's not the same. Throwing deep for Lance, it's not just that you score in less plays. It's that it spaces out the defense, and it makes it harder to stack the box. And not only that, but they're like less guys in the box, but plus one of the guys in the box has to account for Lance. So,
thank you.
I mean,
what I don't like about the Jimmy
not apples to
fans, they're like, whenever they evaluate Lance, they evaluate him on Jimmy's terms. They're like, well, what's his completion percentage? Well, can he hit the slant? Can he hit the screens? It's like, well, that's Jimmy's game. I don't care as much about that stuff. What I care about with Lance is the yards per carry for the offense, the air yards, his ability to throw the ball down the field, how he spaces the field, the box count, all of those things. And you never hear the Jimmy Garoppolo supporters talk about that stuff because Jimmy can't do those things, and they know it. So it's like those things don't even matter. The only thing that matters is, can you throw a slant? How quick is your release? The things Jimmy does well are the only things that matter to a Jimmy fan, which is disingenuous. That's what you'd call it.
Yeah. All he does is win, though, Grant. All he does is win.
Brock, too. What do you think of Brock?
I think I like him. I like him, honestly, so far better. I'm reserving judgment to see how, like, which takes over. Is it the first team reps and he gets better? Or is it the DC is getting the film and he gets worse, which is what usually happens.
It is usually what happens.
But, usually they don't have weapons like ours. So I think that could be our saving grace if our O-line could just give him some damn time. I think he can do good things.
And maybe it'll take DC's a little while. And maybe it'll take him more than a week. With Jimmy Garoppolo, he was really good that stretch down in 2017. Maybe Brock Purdy could do that this year just because there's no freaking book on him. Although I just feel like when they get to the playoffs, it's going to be a different story. You got to face Dallas eventually. Yeah. I don't know. But we're not there yet. They got to face Tampa. And I think this game is really intriguing because Tampa's offense is a freaking mess. And the Niners' defense is great. And so you really feel like, even with Brady, Tampa shouldn't be scoring more than 14, 14, 15, 13. So, Brock, it's a really good defense, and your coach doesn't know how to beat a blitz right now. But can you get 16 points, maybe 17? That's all he's got to do. And not just Brock, but all of them. Kyle, too. I think I don't know if they can. It's going to be very interesting. Like, if I were just to tell you, is Tom Brady and Todd Bowles going to lose to a rookie 7th-round pick making his first career start? Probably be like, no. But it's Brock and the 49ers. Well, I don't know. I don't know then. This is interesting because the Bucs are really kind of a mess. So we'll see.
Yeah, I had a Bucs creator on Monday night. It's Buck What You Heard, and he was not happy with Todd Bowles or Byron Leftwich at all. He thinks it's a mess. He's worried about their offensive line.
Bad offensive line.
Yeah, Wirfs is out. Their center's been out. Jensen's been out all season. That was weird. The injury with Jensen, he had this bad knee injury, and they're like, oh, he's probably out for most of the season, but he might be back at the end of the season. And that was so strange how they never talked about the anatomy. Like, was it the MCL? Was it the ACL? Was his patellar tendon? His meniscus? They never talked about what the actual part of the knee was that was injured. But it doesn't look like he'll be back this week. Hopefully, knock on wood.
So again, you got another situation where
people don't come back. But
you saw what the Niners did to an offense lacking offensive linemen just last week. So that team scored 17 against the 49ers. I mean, how are the Bucs going to score more than 17 against the Niners? Yeah, Brady's better than Tua for sure, but I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
Well, I'm flying a banner down below. I said, will either team score under 20? That was one of my questions.
I was really not impressed by Tua. What did you think of Tua? I was really not impressed with Tua.
No, yeah, it seemed to me like there were guys open, and they could have hurt us a lot more than they did. I mean, he did make the one nice throw to Tyreek. Well, it wasn't that great a throw. Just Tyreek was so open that even a okay throw, was enough to get him into the end zone.
I'm not trying to take anything away from the Niners defense. I'm not trying to say Tua sucks, that performance wasn't legit. I'm just saying they exposed him, that he's not up to that challenge. Patrick Mahomes is up to that challenge. Josh Allen is up to that challenge. Tua was not up to that challenge. And that Dolphins team isn't going anywhere this year. They're a good story. Maybe next year. But they're not going anywhere this year. No.
This road trip's going to be very interesting for them because it started with us. They got the Chargers next week, and then the big one is the Bills to round out that road trip.
Right.
I was saying before it started,
yeah,
they did, but that was in Miami when it was super hot. This is going to be in Buffalo when it's super cold, which is their kind of superpower. So
Miami's defense is freaking awful on the road. Awful.
Yeah. Yeah, and I said before the road trip started, I wouldn't be surprised if they dropped 2 or even all 3 of those games. If for the Chargers, the key is Keenan Allen back, is Mike Williams back. They really missed those guys against us for sure.
I got a stat for you.
Go ahead.
I got a stat for you. This is coming back to the Bucs game. So the Niners at home this year, their defense giving up 15.5 points per game. Phenomenal. The Bucs defense on the road this year, giving up 15.5 points per game. I'm looking forward to this matchup, man. It's going to be a really cool defensive matchup. I mean, look at the names on that Bucs defense. A lot of the same guys from the Super Bowl. It's a legit. They're linebackers, they're D-line. They got really good safeties and corners. It's a good defense. And they're a lot like, in my opinion, the Saints. Dysfunctional team, no leadership. But the head coach is a damn good defensive coordinator. So he just is. So they're gonna have a good plan. They may not win. They can't score points, but they're gonna have a good defensive game plan. Just like Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen had a really good defensive game plan. He did.
Yeah. No doubt about it. And, they have a great front 7. They got Vita Vea.
Yeah. Devin White, Levante David, Antoine Winfield. I mean, it's good defense.
Shaq Barrett still out, or is he
I don't
back?
know. I should probably.
But he's a good defensive end.
Yeah.
But
Jamel Dean is a hell of a cornerback.
Yeah, and they've got Winfield is a great safety.
Yep.
So there's a lot of talent on that defense for sure.
Good big test for Brock Purdy and a big test for the Niners. Dude, get Brock Purdy through this game in one piece, please. Don't get him hurt. Can we keep Josh Johnson is still learning the offense, please? Can we get Brock Purdy through the game? That is the entire objective this week. Protect your quarterback.
Well, it makes it a little tougher because Brock is like a very tough guy, and doesn't shy away from contact, which is
little CJ Beathard-esque. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
dude, don't be a tough guy. Don't be a tough guy. Go down.
Yeah.
No
doubt. Don't want that.
You got to go back to Pulp Fiction and watch that scene of Ving Rhames telling Bruce Willis to go down. That is you. That's the pep talk you need. Brock, go down. Don't let pride mess with you. Who is calling me? Someone's at the front door. Hold on. See what it is. Because I'm inclined not to get it.
Well, do what you need to do. I can.
No, it's Amazon, dude. It's Amazon. I don't have to sign for this, do I? Let's see. I got a Ring. I can watch him. You know, with the Ring thing, you can even talk to him too and mess with him. Be like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I wouldn't do that though. That's not cool to do. He's standing there like he needs me to do something. Go away, man.
Yeah. Well, if you need to,
he's gone.
I can carry on for a minute.
No, he's cool. I mean, just leave at the front door. I'm gonna get it later. All right, cool.
There you go.
All right, sweet. What are we talking about?
Nice. Platform 246 asks, speaking of Mike Shanahan, question for you gentlemen. Skip and Shannon Daly state that Mike is running the team in Kyle's ear. Do y'all agree? Grant, I know you're a QC, of course.
Look, all I know is that I'm 34, and my dad is a legend, and I have a little bit of status. And if he calls me and tells me what to do, part of my ego is like, man, I'm too old for this. You know what I mean? I can't imagine 43-year-old Kyle making 11 whatever million he makes a year, have his dad call him up and be like, here's what you're doing wrong. Let me tell you, he'd be like, man, I am too old for this. I bet you Kyle could call him up and be like, Dad, I'd love your input. But I can't imagine Mike is sitting at home on the couch calling up Kyle and being like, here's what you're doing wrong. Here's what you need to do. And Kyle's like, okay, Dad, thanks a lot, Dad. I'll try harder next time. Like, in what world? Nah, I couldn't see that happening.
You mean you don't think it's like Mike calling up and saying, "Hey Kyle, here's play 1, here's play 15."
If Kyle wants it, but Kyle has his own ego. Doesn't Kyle think? I'm just saying. Kyle doesn't seem like he is a bunch of phony confidence. Kyle looks like he really thinks he's the greatest offensive coach of all time. He probably thinks he's better than his dad. He has that kind of an ego. That's the way I look at it.
He's more than a little stubborn. We all know that. So.
He's trying to show that he's better than his dad was. I'm sure he collaborates with him, as I do with mine. I'm just saying, I don't read it that way. I do think Mike's part of the process somehow, but not like the Godfather with the freaking puppet master. No.
Or Cyrano whispering from behind the hedge.
Definitely not.
That'd be a love song, but whatever.
No, that was McDaniel.
Same idea.
McDaniel was Cyrano.
Oh.
Here's what you do this week. I thought McDaniel did all right last week. The problem was that his offensive line couldn't block and his quarterback couldn't hit open receivers. But there were open guys, which is concerning if you're D'Amico. There were definitely open guys. And if you go against an offense like Buffalo or Philly or Kansas City, I wonder what's going to happen.
Oh, I was saying it during the live broadcast. I was like, oh, there are definitely people open if Tua can get hot. And then he kind of did there for a minute. He got hot. He hit Tyreek. He got hot. They were driving. Well, first of all, early in the drive, they had 4th and 1 on their own 19. Mm-hmm. And McDaniel went for it. Like, he just put his cojones on the table and said,
that's the game.
Check those
That's the
out.
game right here. Yeah.
Check those out. I mean, I was blown away. I'm like, there's no way they're going for it here on their own 19. And they did, and they got it. And then they're driving. And then, Craycraft does the Kittle first down thing, and I'm like, oh, the disrespect. And I'm just sitting there thinking.
I didn't see that.
Oh, he did, yeah. River Craycraft.
Wow.
He stole Kittle's move.
And his number.
Yeah. Well, apparently not just that. Apparently, it's not as painful because it's a different guy, Christian Wilkins. Apparently, he did the Bosa Shrug, too. So they're all getting in on this action. Like, trying to steal moves.
They did all that stuff to lose by 16? That's great.
Yeah, and they had Dolphins fans saying that we're the Dolphins West, if you can believe that BS. I mean, but anyway.
Also, Mostert talking, too, saying that their team was more talented.
Oh, yeah. No doubt
all that blew up in their faces. When they started to talk, it kind of lets you know, like, oh, this team isn't really ready. Like, are you kidding? The Niners have been around. Like, beat the Niners before you talk. Who have you beaten?
Exactly.
Stop it.
And then So they go for it on 4th, and I'm like, oh man, I can just hear it now. People are going to be talking about how McDaniel's better than Kyle, and Kyle's too conservative, and maybe you.
But Tua did have that. He had that nice throw to Gesicki. That Gesicki he didn't drop it. Dre Greenlaw
broke it up. Oh, that was the play of the game.
Greenlaw, he's like the clutchest player of all time. From week 17 in 2019 to that, like. He's like God, essentially. God's like a Niner fan, and he works through Dre Greenlaw only at the most desperate times. But if it is he's like a prophet. He's essentially Moses of the. I'm sorry, that's blasphemous. I'm not saying that. I'm taking it back. But Greenlaw is just the unreal. Who's clutch like that? Who makes? Yeah. Who has like game-saving plays like that in their resume? Multiple ones. I mean. Really,
and that was when I thought the game hinged right there. That 4th of July. I just said, you know what? I said, you know what? McDaniel went to the well one too many times. Like he's got the cojones. He's bold. He's courageous. Whatever you want to say, ballsy. Even I'll say. But you know what? Maybe that works a little bit better when you're not playing the number one defense, right?
I just think it's interesting. Like McDaniel was here, Greenlaw, and with the game on the line, he's like, "Let me get Gesicki on Greenlaw on an out route." Like that's what you went to with the game on the line. Like that was a bad call. Like actually, Dre Greenlaw has the matchup advantage there. You just learned the hard way. Mike Gesicki, who the hell is Mike Gesicki? You should know better, Mike McDaniel. You should know better, man. Like Dre Greenlaw to the sideline, there is no linebacker faster in the league right now than him. So what were you thinking? You could have gone anywhere else. Go back to Trent Sherfield, Mike. You blew it. Freaking blew it, and you made me look bad. No, I said that you would score 17 points, and you scored 17 points. You made me look like
I did too. I said 24-17, though. I didn't think we'd get 33.
I said 2017. But that's neither here nor there. We both nailed Mike McDaniel scoring 17. Got you.
Very nice, very nice. And it's just too funny. I don't know what he was thinking with that play call, and Dre Greenlaw. It kind of reminds me. You had posted something just last week about the Systat or that service that you use.
Sys Data Hub. Yeah, it's free. You can check it out. SysDataHub.com.
And they were the ones who said that Dre Greenlaw was the best number one linebacker in the NFL. Right?
Not just off-ball linebacker either, like better than Micah Parsons. Like I was like, whoa. Ooh. So I'm not saying that they're any more correct than any other service, but it's just one perspective. Quite interesting.
It's a data point, right? Yeah,
it is. And if you've been watching Dre Greenlaw, you'd be like, I can see how someone would think that. I mean, the dude freaking flies. He's so fast and violent, like he almost has to tone it down. They're like, dude, you're gonna get thrown out again. You gotta stop. And it's like, sorry, I'm just really, really good.
No, yeah. I mean, when he came back at the end of the 2021 season, he got that roughing penalty, and there were at least 2 or 3 more where I thought he deserved roughing penalties, and he got away with a few.
His job
I'm always complaining about the refs, but I gotta admit it when they help us, and I think we got lucky on a few of them there.
His job is literally to run and hit. He does that. Yeah. He does those two things so well. So hard to be mad. Like honestly, he does that better than Fred Warner. What makes Fred Warner super valuable is his pass coverage and zone coverage. He's like 6'4", taking up all that space. You can't throw over him. But like sideline to sideline run stopping. Greenlaw is like mini Patrick Willis. He's like Patrick Willis Jr. Sorry.
No doubt about it. No, he's amazing. And like I said, to me, that was the pivotal play of the game, where after that, it was just all downhill for the Dolphins. They just completely fell apart after that play. That was, Tua coughed up the ball. Then, of course, Greenlaw again with the scoop and score. I mean, you could say that was really important. But it was that Gesicki 4th and 2. And I was like, they should just kick the field goal here. I don't know what they're thinking, but...
So they gave up a touchdown on the first play of the game. Then they gave up that touchdown to Tyreek Hill. Okay, those 2 plays must have accounted for like more than 50% of their offense. Like
it was 75 and probably like 50 yards roughly. Yeah, 40 or 50.
I mean that was their day. Other than that, what did they do? Punt and turn the ball over. This Niners defense is crazy, man. You better have a Hall of Fame quarterback if you're going up against this team. And the Dolphins freaking don't. They have left-handed Purdy. No, that's even a I was so down on Tua. If he has time, I'm sure he's super accurate and all that. But you're not going to have time in the playoffs. I don't know, man. I really feel like it just shows how good Mike McDaniel is, that he could make Tua freaking 8-1 or something, 8-2. Wow.
Yeah, no, I think he was 8-0 coming into that game. I think the only games they had lost.
He lost that one where he got hurt.
I guess the Dolphins fans said games where he start and finish.
Right,
he didn't
right. So I mean, that's a credit to Mike McDaniel for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No, he's a brilliant guy. I had a strong suspicion that he would be a very good head coach. I was just surprised how good, how fast. I didn't think he would be this good this fast.
Trading for Tyreek Hill was smart.
Yeah, absolutely.
Smart. And he's so good.
He is.
Watching him in person, you can't cover him.
He's always open. Try and tell me that he was like drop balls and we're glad he's gone, and I'm like, okay, we'll see how glad you are when the playoffs come. And now, sure enough, a playoff type game happened Sunday with the Bengals, and they lost third in a row to Joe Burrow. So, they don't want to see the Bengals in the playoffs, especially as Jamar Chase gets healthier and healthier. I mean, that guy is a monster.
You know how you cover Tyreek Hill? Sack the quarterback.
Yeah.
That's the only way.
Quarterback.
He's always open.
And even bracket.
Yeah, you could bracket. You could bracket. I mean, freaking Belichick did that in the AFC Championship game 3-4 years ago. But if you're not willing to tilt your entire defense to him, which you can't. I mean, sometimes.
But that was probably also Stephon Gilmore you're talking about, right? I mean, so one of the top corners in the league. So it's not
with Jason McCourty over the top. Yep.
Yeah. So it's not like you're just talking about a bunch of scrubs you're bracketing with.
No.
So
no
doubt about it. That's crazy. So yeah, I mean, interesting outlook for the Dolphins. I think they'll make the playoffs, but I don't think they'll make a lot of noise. Should we talk a little bit about? I mean, you already brought up Dallas as a team you're worried about in the playoffs. They might be my most worrisome team, honestly. A lot of people are saying the Eagles, but the Eagles. I think I trust Dak more than Hurts. If it all comes down.
Well,
I think the Cowboys will get OBJ too.
I gotta go soon. But
okay.
Before I leave, I think what's kind of interesting about the playoff outlook is Jimmy's coming back theoretically. So, and he's coming back round 2. So I think the Niners can win most of their games down the stretch with Purdy. I mean, there's not that many games that you'd say like. I mean, even this week against Tampa, they should probably win with Purdy. So then round 1, they have a home game most likely if they win their division against someone like the Giants. Which you're thinking maybe they could win that game with Purdy. And then when they finally have to face a team like that could put up, points on their defense, such as Dallas, then they could possibly have Jimmy Garoppolo back or Trey Lance, and they could maybe more, go head-to-head full health. That's kind of intriguing that they actually they might be able to get there. They're not going to have to face any one of these juggernauts, so to speak, without Jimmy if they need him.
No doubt about it. No, I like the road to the playoffs. The only two teams that really scare me are, like I said, the Eagles and the Cowboys. I don't think the Vikings are for real, although they'd probably be third on my list.
The thing with the Vikings is that Justin Jefferson is like almost as good as Tyreek. He's the kind of it's another guy. Like, how do you stop Justin Jefferson, sack the quarterback? But the thing is, the Niners can sack Kirk Cousins. We've seen him do it before. They've harassed him and made him look as uncomfortable as they made Tua look. So.
I guess the thing would be to see about Darisaw. I know he's been out recently, but I don't know if he'll be back or what the story is there. With no Darisaw, I'd say they're probably not very scary since he's their left tackle.
Absolutely.
And Kirk Cousins is not, just like Jimmy, is not going to evade anybody.
No.
Well, so where do you see us finishing up the season then? You see us 11? I'll let you answer.
I don't know. I think... that's a good question. I mean, they could run the table. I'm thinking they won't, though. They'll lose a couple of games they should win, maybe in Seattle. That's a tough one. But, I mean, they could finish with 11, 12 wins. Doesn't really matter, though. They're going to win the division. They're going to be the 3rd seed because whoever wins the NFC South is going to have like 7 wins, 8 wins. Right. So they're going to be the 3rd seed. Unless, I guess they could sneak into the 2nd seed if they run the table. I guess they could, huh?
I guess, and if Minnesota keeps losing.
Yeah, they could. So there's that. If they were to get the 7th seed, who would they face? They're either going to face the Giants or who? Maybe
or the
Washington?
Commanders. Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, it's looking like they could get to the 2nd round of the playoffs, and then that'll be interesting.
Commanders are one of the teams that scare me the most here coming down the stretch, though, especially if they get Chase Young back. They've been playing well. Heineke kind of reminds me of Brock Purdy. I think they're almost like the same guy.
Oh, that's a good call. That's a great call.
No
great
arm
call.
Strength. Yeah.
They are.
Great defenses,
that's
lots
exactly
of
who he is. That's exactly who Brock Purdy is. He's Taylor Heineke. Yep. Agree. I love it, Ted. Yep. You tweet that. I'll retweet it. Okay. That's who he is.
Okay.
No, you don't have to do that.
Good.
Niner fans will hate you if you say it this week. Say it next week.
Well, yeah, and I'm hoping Purdy has a higher ceiling somehow. So maybe.
Yeah.
But Heineke's doing
similar
well.
grit though.
He's holding off Wentz, so you gotta like that. Unless
holding off another quarterback who went to North Dakota State.
Oh, stop it! Be nice.
Stop it! Stop.
Well, I know you got to get going here, so let me let you roll. It's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for coming on. Thanks for, interacting with the audience with me here. Thanks for all your advice you've given me and help. And, look forward to chopping it up with you again someday. Maybe I'll call into the Cohn Zone one of these days. And, you're obviously welcome back anytime. And anything I can do to help repay you, please let me know. I'm a big on repaying my debts. So
No debt here. This was a lot of fun. This was my pleasure. You got a great thing going. And make sure if you're watching that you subscribe to Ted, because Ted Talks Ball is a hell of a show.
Thanks, Grant. Have a good one, bud.
You too.
Bye, everyone.